Hello, my name is Connor, and today I'm going to show you how to make nitrogen cold brew that is cheaper and better than Starbucks that you can have at tap at your house. No longer will you have to spend $6 for a cup this size where they spell your name wrong with an ER, but instead you can get yourself your own on tap nitrogen cold brew machine and be able to pour yourselves cold brew year round and save thousands of dollars. And I'll show you exactly how to do it right here. Everything you need is right here. We got ourselves a 5-gallon bucket with spigot for the cold brew, washed and cleaned, of course. We got ourselves a 50-pack of commercial grade coffee filters for the cold brew. Is made in China. And then we got the cheapest coffee I could really find at Costco, just the Kirkland brand. This actually used to be like $14, actually $12 before the tariffs. Now it's 18 a bag, so it's a little bit unfortunate, but it's 2.5 bags, 2.5 pounds each, so together this is 5 pounds. So you got a bucket that can fit 5 gallons of water, and you got 5 pounds of coffee with an industrial coffee bag. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, all of this stuff, besides obviously the coffee, will be in the link in the description. So we're gonna get started here. We're gonna start with putting one of these filters onto the bucket, and then we'll pour the coffee inside. We've got the filter on, as you can see, and then we're just gonna pour the coffee in. So I mean, you can of course grind your own beans, but this is just something very simple to get started on, very cheap. If you guys would like me to experiment with grinding my own beans as well as trying different coffee blends with it, please state in the comments which type of coffee you'd like me to try. And if you think that there's certain ratios or anything you guys would like to see, just let me know. All right, so this is what 5 pounds of coffee looks like in this bucket. We're gonna go outside and fill this up with water and stir it up a little bit and let it sit. I like using one of these camper water filters attached to a hose, just to kind of avoid some of these microplastics. I know the container's made of plastic, so it's kind of, you got to do what you can. I think that it makes the coffee taste a little bit more clean. And it's a quick way to fill up the bucket real quick. So I'm gonna go attach this to the hose and get started. I'll start filling up the bucket. Just move it around like this and then stir. I can't really stir in India, so you get something more that's good. But you really want to press the bottom, make sure it's lots of coffee, you mix it with the water. And then don't overfill it, leave about an inch. That way it doesn't overflow because the water's not kind of the bag a little bit, and you're just going to explosion of coffee. You don't want that happening. There you go. You see there's like a layer of what looks like almost like dirt at the top, which is all the coffee. So mixed up. I left a little bit of room, and here's the lid that comes with the container. Put the lid on. And then you're gonna want to let it sit for about anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. A little bit after that, you might get risk of mold or bacterial overgrowth. It's better to get it kegged and get the nitrogen on it, get it cool. So I'll go let this sit actually in my garage, just because at room temperature the coffee extracts a little bit quicker. We'll keep it right here on top of the Kegerator, and then we'll siphon it off into one of these kegs here in a little bit. But I'll let it sit about 12 to 16 hours. All right, the next part of the video is a little bit of a jerry rig, but this right here is a 5-gallon Cornelius keg, Pepsi keg. You can see that one side has this long cylinder here. I've just washed this recently. Which is the output. It'll say output on the corny keg, and then there will be an input as well. We're not going to use that. I'll show you what kind of lid I bought for this to infuse the nitrogen. But gas goes in on one side, and then the product comes out the other side. A lot of home brewers use these kegs. It actually works really well for nitro as well. And I put this on a ladder just so that there's nothing spilling whenever I siphon the nitro cold brew, well, I guess it's cold brew right now, into this Cornelius keg. So I'm gonna siphon this off right now, and then we're gonna dilute it a little bit. and then shake it up, and then we're gonna pressurize it, and then it's basically done. Right, here we go. I'm gonna make sure it's directly over. Yeah. And you can pull the lid off this thing as well. That can help, and then you can shift the bag around. But I'm just gonna siphon this off real quick. As you can see, it's running a lot bit more. I pulled the bag up a little bit, took the lid off. Some basic physics. So we're just gonna siphon this all off into this keg right here. It's gonna be a little bit over half, maybe closer to 2/3 full by the end of it. And then we're just gonna fill it up with some filtered water. Yeah, that's all the coffee at the top. I think some people do some gardening with the coffee grounds. I haven't really found a way to really use them. Also don't have a huge garden. I have one in the backyard, which I'll put in some other videos, but leave a comment if you have any ideas on what I can use this for. We have siphoned off most of the cold brew into here. You see it's about, it was a little bit small in here, but about 2/3 or so. There's about just a little bit of a gap there, so we'll fill the rest of that up with water. So this lid's actually pretty cool. It's an add-on. The link for it's in the description of this video, but has a the gas valve is right here. There's one on the keg normally, but this one connects to tubing with a rock at the end that helps pressurize it and gives you that foamy nitrogen cold brew flavor to it. Well worth the money. I'm definitely recommend getting one of these, otherwise you're not going to be able to infuse the nitrogen as well. So just gonna put the lid in. Pull up, push down. Now, very important is you want to make sure this gas valve is closed. If that thing's open, you start infusing the gas here, it's just gonna lose it all. So I'm gonna shake this up. We're gonna infuse some nitrogen. I'll show you how the regulator and everything. Here's my nitrogen tank. I think it's a 45 cc. I got it from Air Gas. Of course, there's a deposit because this is a steel container. So whenever you first get them, it might be might have spent about $100-something just for the swapping fee, which kind of sucks. Once you have that, each time this thing runs out, it'll be about $20 to $40. It's hard to say, to exchange it to get more food grade nitrogen. That's not too bad. This thing usually does several kegs. And you can see I still have a fair amount of gas in there. My regulator. You can see it's got the PSI set. You want it around 40 for Nitro Cold Brew. And this is the bar PSI of like what's in kind of the tank. Turn the valve on here, but this is also a second valve. Sometimes I like closing this just in case if I'm somewhat concerned about a leak or anything like that. After it's been pressurized and just turn it on in the morning, personal preference. You want good clamps onto the tubing. It's just typical kegging tubing. As you can tell, a lot of this is probably from having a Kegerator, which this is what this is my Kegerator. I got this back in med school. It had a big dent on it, so I actually got it for free, which was amazing. But I really only use this side of it. And you can see in the back, you're gonna have it drawn through here. And this is a connector for the corny keg. These are pretty cheap. They're also on Amazon. Because they're cheap, they can break kind of easily. So we're gonna connect this guy to the Kegerator. This is going to be the one that feeds the liquid back up to the nitrogen spout right here, so that we can get our Nitro Cold Brew. So I'm just going to be hooking a lot of things up. It'll make a lot more sense from there. And then the temperature here I set at 4, around 4.3. Sometimes you can get a little bit of an explosion or a leak. Whenever I had some of these things that didn't fit on perfectly, so you can see there's a little bit of a mess from it, but that's just all part of making coffee. So let's plug some stuff together. All right, we'll put the gas one onto the middle. A little gas on top. Now, very important to put the output on the one that says out right here. And so everything's closed right now. You want to turn on your keg then. I already have this part open, so all I have to do is turn that valve over here. You hear that? And now we have coffee coming up here.
you really want to let it sit for a little while. It's also warm, so you want to let it cool. So it's about I think the fastest is going to be like a 2-day process to really make this kind of coffee, but then you have a lot. This is 5 gallons of coffee we just made, and you just saved hundreds of dollars, so congratulations. Also, there's some little caps you can use to while you're not using it, or you can just pour out the first bit whenever you're pouring it in the mornings, but they have these kinds of caps and then some rubber caps as well. All right, it's the next day. This is nice and cold now. What I like to do, I'll take the cap off, is I like to pour out a little bit of the first batch just because a lot of it's been in the tubing. Probably wasn't pressurized as well, so let's pour it a little bit like that. And now we got ourselves our Nitro Cold Brew mug. And just like that. And you can see all the bubbles in there. It's from the nitrogen. It'll slowly start sinking. You'll get that nice foamy top that looks kind of like a Guinness. See that? Slowly falling down. Okay, now for the taste it. You can see you have a nice foamy nitrogen cold brew right here. I haven't added anything to it. That is so smooth. And just look at that. This is like less than $1. Oh! And way more than they'll give you at Starbucks. So if you like this video, please like it. Consider subscribing to the channel and giving comments and suggestions on different nitrogen cold brew things I can do. Also do sous vide series as well as some gardening. Just kind of a lot of other things. If you have any coffee beans or anything that you would like me to try, or anything else, just let me know. And as mentioned, everything that you need to make this, reading this, will be down in the links of the description, except for, of course, the coffee beans and stuff like that. Cheers.